Well, it's that favorite time of year again. We're doing our annual, well, it's more than once. This is the first batch for the fall, but we're getting our boiling done. We got probably about 4 or 5 dozen in there. The water's almost to a boil. It's getting foam on top. Got our sifters and all that. We got another couple dozen DPs and 3 more new dozen of the 550s that we're getting ready. And we actually showed a little bit of the dip process with our Dakota Series Earth dip, and you can see they came out really nice. Some cable restraints, some cable extensions, some stakes, just to show how that's done. But this is my favorite time of year. I always get great memories of my father, my grandfather, my uncles. We would come out and just get the water boiling, and it's really peaceful. But you know, whether you boil your traps or whether you dye them or dip them or whatever, the fall is a special time of year. It's my favorite time of year. And I got a phone call today, and I don't want to get off on a rant here, but the guy just called and he's on his way to Maine. He's going to go trap some beaver, and haven't talked to him in a while. He called me, asked how I'm doing. You know, Dad passed away, and it's been a tough almost 3 months, and there's not a day go by that I don't think of him and these type of things that we do in the outdoors. And this is my way of furthering that tradition. And we, you know, got to talking, and he asked me, he just asked a simple question, you know, do you have any new lures and baits that are coming out? And I said, no. I said, we got it pretty much covered. I said, you know, we got our Mountain Man bait, we got the Coon Buster, and, you know, a few other little nuances within that. But, you know, we don't need a possum lure and a skunk lure and a weasel lure. We don't need that. And really, quite honestly, nobody needs it. And that kind of led into the conversation. He said to me, yeah, everybody and their brother seems to be making lures and baits and this and that and the other thing. They're coming out of the woodwork. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I said, I'm all for people furthering the tradition. And but it got me thinking. It got me thinking to where a couple points that I want to make here, and you know, I can say these things, but what I'm going to say has been proven by what I've done, and so it's not a crock of bull. If anybody tells you that their bait and lure is the end-all secret, or that their bait and lure is better than anybody else's, they're nothing but a snake oil salesman. And you know, the whole job of you as a trapper is to entice the animal to work the set. More often than not, most of the animals that we're catching are not sitting there digging that hole to the center of the earth before they step on the pan. We're catching these animals as soon as they approach. That's why we want to be back a little bit to the right or back to the left, or however you have them guided in there. You want to catch them before they even get to the hole. So your whole goal is to attract them. And there's not a bait and lure on the market that probably can't attract the animal. And if you're, you know, coming out and bringing 1,000 different things to the market, and we're going to do this, it's nothing but snake oil. You have to, as a trapper, understand to weed through a lot of the misinformation and the things that people are trying to do. Now, I'm not saying that the bait and lures or the traps, or this can be 1,000 different products. It doesn't even have to be the trapping industry. It can be you watching an infomercial at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, everybody's going to give you that sales pitch to get their product in your hands. Don't get me wrong. We make lures and baits, and we would love for you to buy them. They work. Are they better than anybody else's? I don't think so. Are they just as good? Absolutely. They're going to attract the animal. We do very well with them. And I know that we work hard and we put a lot of effort into what we do. And bait making is a nasty, smelly process. You get anything with skunk in it, you're basically, losing those clothes. And we definitely do not skimp on ingredients, and that's why our pricing structure is actually higher than a lot of the others. That's just what it's worth by the product and the time that's put in to make it. Now, with that, you have to understand that there are no secrets either. And I literally showed you in a previous YouTube clip how we make our Mountain Man bait, our special #1 bait for predators. I showed how we make it. I showed every ingredient. I showed exactly how much I put into it. The only thing I didn't do for you is actually make it. And if you have tried to make it, it's a process that is not fun. It's fun, but it's messy. It is fun. I shouldn't say it's not fun because I really enjoy it. But it's a process that can be just miserable at times. If you let this get too far or whatever, it's a tough process. But that's what we do. I showed you how to do it. That's what we want. We want people to further this tradition. Yes, we want to make a living. Yes, we want you to buy our baits and lures. But we're not going to sit here and tell you that ours is better than anybody else's. It's just not. And anybody that tells you that is absolutely full of it. But we as trappers sometimes are our own worst enemy. That was the second point I wanted to bring up. And I'll give you a little story. Back in 2003, I started this video process. I started doing videos in 2003. And I was living in Orlando, Florida. I just got done with 10 years of baseball. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and the NRA convention was there. And I'm like, I'm going to the NRA show. So I go over, and the Outdoor Channel had a booth. Now, they were the only game in town at that time, the Outdoor Channel. Now we have the Sportsman Channel that's we run on. We run on the Pursuit Channel. There's a lot of different channels. But back then, in 2003, other than TNN and ESPN, the only true outdoor 24/7 channel was the Outdoor Channel. So I stopped to talk to a guy named Chris Chafin, and a super nice man. And I said, I'd like to do a trapping show. Nobody does a trapping show. And he's like, that'd be great, and I was green. And man, I look back on it. I'm glad it worked out the way it did, but I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I start researching, how I can do this, what camera do I need, all this. And I'm in Orlando. Well, that was in late May. I called my father that night and told him I'm coming back to Pennsylvania and I'm going to do outdoor videos. And he's like, well, how the hell are you going to make money doing outdoor videos? I said, I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. And here we are over 20 years later. And, we've put a lot of effort and time into that. And I'm proud of where we've come as a brand and as a company. And I'm proud of what we've done to help educate you and others out there on the processes, how to handle your own critters, and also be a better outdoorsman. But about a week later, after doing more research online, I found trapperman.com. And I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't fathom that there was a place online that had 2, 3, 4, 5,000 trappers on this forum. So I called my dad that night. I'm excited. I said, Dad, I found this place online. It's called trapperman.com. It's nothing but trapping. People ask questions. They talk about trapping. There's pictures. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Because I've been ate up with trapping since I was 7 years old and caught my first muskrat. So he's like, yeah, that's great. And, he didn't have the internet. He couldn't even do email on his phone. God love him. But I signed up for an account, and I'm in there, and I'm just gung-ho. Like I said, I was green. I'm gung-ho, and I'm answering questions and asking questions, and I was probably a little overzealous. I'll say that, because I was just so excited. I was excited to be part of this group, this club, whatever. And somebody asked a question on there, what's your favorite beaver trap? And for years, me and my dad have always used the Duke number 3 round jaw, because we set for front feet. My dad would put 2 traps instead, I would put 1. I put that answer on there. Oh yeah, I've caught pretty much every beaver other than a 330 and a round jaw Duke number 3. Well, you would have thought that I said I love Hitler and, you know, Mussolini and Mao and all of them wrapped into one, because it was just all out war that I didn't know what I was talking about. I obviously hadn't caught enough beaver to even give the opinion of catching them all and number 3 round jaws. And up to that point in 2003, trap beaver every year. You're allowed 3 when I started, then you're allowed 5. I probably had only caught 40 or 50 beaver in the roughly 18 to 20 years I had been trapping to that point. So I didn't, you know, have a barn picture with 5,000, but, you know, I'd caught a fair number, which I thought was a great number. And I just really, you know, other than me being just tell me I can't do something and I'll show you I can do it, which has been my attitude my whole life, you know, that could break or knock somebody down and maybe take them out of wanting to trap. And, you know, here we are 20 years later, and I look back on that. And I know some of the people, you know, because I've learned who they are through their handles and things. And I see those people at conventions, and they either say hi or walk by, but they don't ever bring up anything about bashing me for a Duke number 3 round jaw. Now, since then, we use the number 4 now, and I use a little bigger trap, but at that time, I didn't know any better. And I still, to this day, don't think you need anything more than a number 3 round jaw if you're setting for a front foot beaver. And I used to catch a lot of them beaver in the back foot, too. When they would come up, I think they'd go out and then waddle up. So what I want to say is we have to watch with where we're at, with no fur market, with average age of a trapper going up every year. We have to watch how we really truly handle not only kids, but, you know, adults that are getting into this, maybe a person who just retired getting into this. We really have to understand that maybe somebody isn't as, you know, educated or as, you know, seasoned as we are, and we have to understand that maybe that's all they know, and maybe we can help them by giving them a few pointers or whatever. But it just got me to thinking where we have to, in no less than any other words, we have to take pretty much all of the bullshit out of what we do across the board on the whole lifestyle. And I don't want to get long-winded here, and I really got longer than I really wanted to. But I think a lot of you out there that know me know that this is not a job. This is a passion for me. And everything that we do is to help others get better. And we're not going to lie to people. We're not going to tell them that our bait's better. We're not going to tell them that you can only, yes, Duke Traps is a major supporter of mine, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today without Duke Traps. But I'm not going to sit and tell somebody that they can't use a you know, Montgomery or a Victor or whatever, because they're still out there doing it. And to bash somebody for the equipment they use, to bash somebody, like the best thing, and I'm sure you've all seen it, the easiest way to get 500 comments on a thread is just type some numbers with a preposition. 550 versus 550 MB versus 550 Duke. And you will start a war amongst everybody in our community. And quite honestly, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's embarrassing, and it's something that we need to be better at. But I highly recommend, if you get the opportunity, after going on that pontification of a rant, I don't even know if that's a word, pontification of a rant, this right here, boiling some traps in some logwood dye with the leaves changing and the cool breeze will definitely soothe your soul and get you back into the groove. So we wish everybody the best out there. And if anybody has any questions, we're going to give you the straight answer. Email us at info@northamericantrapper.com. Good luck.